Today, I am joined by one of the co-founders and really the creator of Lead Champ Pro, Josh Lockhart. And I know you probably couldn't tell this by looking at him, but he is actually successful, okay? This guy right here runs a massive life insurance agency. They do about $3 million a year. And last year, many other years, he's been a top producer as well. But last year, he wrote 460,000 on his own pen. He is one of the hardest working people I know. He absolutely crushes the game. And here's what's really cool. Some of the top people, names that if I said them out loud, you'd be blown away, come to him for advice on exactly how to run their appointments, especially on IULs. I know you're going to talk about that today, but guys, everyone is here to learn. Josh, how exactly did you go out and sell $150,000 in 6 weeks? Okay, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be taking notes. I'm going to hop off camera. I'll let you take it from here. Thank you so much, Josh, for being on.
Absolutely. Thanks for the introduction. And want to just say hello to everybody that's checking in today. Hopefully we can give you some value. Again, we're going to go over, how to have a huge month, a huge 6 weeks, specifically surrounded about selling IULs. Well, maybe we'll throw a little bit of annuity conversation there. And at the same time, how to utilize Lead Champ Pro to make all that happen. So with that said, a couple things. Actually, I just got word a few minutes ago that I was one of the agents with Fidelity and Guarantee, one of our carriers, that was in their top 10 for last year and is winning their trip. So that's really exciting. But what was the only reason I bring that up is the person that called me to let me know that said there was actually you got to be in the top 10. They said there's actually a couple other people ahead of you that aren't getting to go because their retention was so low. So, making sales is one thing, keeping them on the books and having a client for life is what we're after. And so we're gonna kind of have that within the conversation. And so obviously we don't want to just get people submitted and show up on a leaderboard and go, hey, look at all this stuff. We want it to actually issue. We want it to pay out. We want them to, keep funding their policies and, do interviews and all the thing. And that's where some of the things that I say is going to come into play. Many of the people on here, maybe you say similar things, some things to avoid, and also how we use Lead Champ Pro to make sure that on the back end, we're in contact with our clients and we're getting them all the right information and all those wonderful things, right? So it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And I'll say one more thing on that. Since kind of putting these strategies into play, doing business in this way, and with the help of Lead Champ Pro over the last year, I've been telling people, and there's some videos out there that the retention of some of the carriers, like your simplified carriers, Mutual of Omaha, Americo. I got the hat on today. This is like the Avengers Americo hat. There was a point in time where my retention wasn't great. I'm on videos saying that, I think the lowest it ever got was 59%. And I've been telling people that over the last year, it's gone up 10%, which is great. But that's not true. As of yesterday, it's actually gone up 20% in the last year. So if persistency is something that you've ever struggled with, it doesn't have to be that way. And again, if you increase your retention by 10%, Nick just said, I issued 466 last year at my own pen, 10% of that's 46,000. You take that to 20%, that's a lot of money to keep by doing good business that sticks. So that's what we want to do. And so as we jump into the conversation about IULs, I'm going to do a bunch of share screens. So if you see me like looking off to the side a lot during this and not directly at the camera, it's just because I have the share screen up and I'm kind of looking at what I'm doing. So you'll have to kind of bear with me a little bit. And just so everybody knows, like, I don't know what your setup is at home doing this. I have 2 screens. If you only have 1 screen, let me just go ahead and say you need to get to maybe 3. I swear the more screens to have, you will sell more if you have more screens. And if you've ever seen that, like that, what was it, The Dark Knight, Batman, he had like all the screens. If you can get that many screens, you'll probably make $1 million. So yeah, that's what I got going on here. So once we get going, I'm going to have the Zoom screen on this side and everything that we're doing on this side. So it's going to get a little dicey. But as we jump into IULs, I just kind of keep this in the back of your mind, right? Poor or below average salespeople take simple things, simple concepts, and make them complicated. And IULs can be very complicated. They take simple things and make them complicated. Great salespeople take complicated things and make them simple. So nothing that I'm going to say is complicated. It seems way too simple, and I'm hoping that maybe a bunch of you are going to go like, that's it, that's all he's got, like that's nothing special, because it's not. All right, so that's what we're going for, and so let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna get everything like I like it when I'm in an appointment, so I can see everything. All right, so got my share screen here, and I've pulled up an appointment. So by the way, none of the information on here, Nick, this is all made up to, we're not using real information of real people. I made up John Smith. This is not a real email, all the things. So for anybody that sees this and like, you're sharing people's information, nope, it's all fake. But you get the idea, right? So we're going to start, and I'm going to get through as much as we can. We're going to go for about an hour from start to finish. And there's some topics, and we'll see how much we can get through. And maybe this is like a 2 or 3 part series of the appointment. So we'll just see what we can do. So I'm going to go through some things about IULs. We're going to go through the first call, or the first portion of the call on an IUL. That's really like the setup, the fact finding. If we have more time to do the rest of it, we will, or, we might do a second video. We'll just have to see. Okay. And then if you have any questions, type them in the chat. And if we don't get to them at the end, we'll post them up somewhere or do something. So anyway, we're jumping in here. So the first thing is, I have all my appointments on my LeadChamp calendar. And as soon as I click on, let's see if I can flop over here. This is what my calendar looks like today. And if I, click on this appointment, it's going to bring me right into this view, right? So here's where I'm going to start the appointment. All right. Now, a couple of things with IULs that I just want to kind of preface, say that word right, is we want to keep things very, very simple. Now, when you go on YouTube, there's a lot of things that you can learn. You can read illustrations, you can get into the weeds, and quite frankly, you can get confused. If you've ever gone online and tried to read about, getting healthy, losing weight, and all this stuff, like somebody's going to say, only eat protein. And then the next one's like, don't ever eat broccoli. Broccoli's killing us. And then the next one's going to say, only eat vegan and, do fasted cardio. And like everything conflicts. And IULs can definitely be that way. There's a lot of folks out there that's like, always do it this way every single time, no matter what. And so a couple kind of things I will preface what we're doing here is, number one, as we get to the point where we're doing illustrations and concepts, I'm of the opinion that there's no one right way that fits every situation, right? There's a time and place for all the different strategies, all the different setups, and we want to keep that in mind, okay? Number two is everything that we're going to talk about today is from the place of, we want to keep it very, very simple, because the average person that we deal with is not a extremely wealthy financial savant, right? These are salt of the earth, blue collar people that filled out a form online somewhere expressing interest in this product of IULs. That could be because they just are in the shopping in the market for life insurance. That could be because they saw something about tax-free retirement. They could be, have a lot of money to fund it. Maybe as of the recording of this video, it's April 23rd, 2025. The market's dipped and they saw something about indexing. They don't really know what it's about, but they just know my 401k, my IRA, or my retirement savings tanked, and I don't want to lose any more money. So maybe I should check this out. So a lot of different angles that people come from. And the overarching theme is the average person that we talk to is again, they're not all blue collar, but it's like that, middle income America. They don't have, financial planners knocking down their door. They just don't want to be lied to. They want to keep things simple. They want to understand, and they're not high class, top investors. They're people that save their money and they don't want to lose their money. So like we're gonna keep things simple and keep that in mind. Okay. And so knowing that with IULs, it's easy to run to, we have to have this certain structure and fund it in a certain way, and this is the way to do it. And that's not this call, because people come to us from all different angles looking for all different sorts of things, and we would just want to make sure we do a good job, especially on the front end, to make sure that we don't tell our clients what we want them to have, that we're actually listening to them and getting them what they want. Okay. And I learned this the hard way over the past year, writing some very large policies, max funded policies, properly structured policies. And then people came back to me and they go, Josh, why don't I have more life insurance? I wanted more life insurance. And so we don't want to be too quick to assume that people are looking for a very complicated financial analysis conversation. Sometimes they just want permanent life insurance. So I just want to throw all that out in the beginning as we go into this. Like, keep that in the back of your mind. This isn't necessarily so much a IUL training as it is just being a good insurance broker training. All right, so that's kind of the first couple things. Now, we're gonna go over five things that you can do better. If you keep these in mind, you're going to write more policies, write bigger policies. And so the first one is leads, right? Everybody on here, we all do leads. We work leads. People fill out a form. This is not for cold calling. This is not for referrals. And so you do have to get some decent quality leads and a good portion of them. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Now, there's age leads, new leads. Sometime in the future, maybe age leads is a thing of the past. But what I'll say is, I've talked to agents that don't have much of a budget, okay, and everybody's in a different place. Now, I'm going to tell you how I sold as much as I did, and really the reason is I had a lot of leads and pretty decent quality leads. Now, they weren't like the best leads that money can buy. I don't even know if that exists, like these magic leads that everybody signs up, but enough of them where I could fill my schedule. All right. And so if you're like, hey, I only have $500 or $1,000, and if I don't make anything, I can't buy more leads, and I need some really, really cheap leads, that's not this particular call, right? So I'll be upfront and say that I personally was spending $8,000 to sometimes $10,000 a month on leads. So I had a lot of leads. All right. So that's kind of number one, right? You have to stack the deck. Number two is, what I found out is, as much as, Nick just said a bunch of great things about me and we've sold a lot and all the types of things, I don't have magic words that make people buy things that don't want to buy anything. But so what I found out is, if I have 10, and this is number two, if I have 10 to 15 appointments per day on my calendar, 10 to 15 appointments a day on my calendar, on average, I can submit 2 policies. Okay. Sometimes it's a little bit less and more premium, but that's the averages. Now, if I have 8 appointments, those averages don't work out in my favor, because let's say 6 of them no show, 1 of them can't get qualified, and 1 of them, something happens and I don't close that. But 10 to 15 per day, I can really begin to make something happen. And, week over week, I'm going to get the results that I want from a perspective of somebody who wants to write for $500,000 per year. Okay. So that's number one, is have a lot of leads and, get some decent quality leads. And I want to be clear on this, right? If you're playing the game where I'm always chasing down the perfect lead that no one ever tells me they're not interested, and, everybody tells the truth on the form. I don't know if that exists, but, if you're buying, $1 4-year-old leads, that's probably not it either. And then number two is 10 to 15 appointments a day on your calendar. Okay. So knowing that in mind, let's jump into it. All right. And then I'll sprinkle in number 3, 4, and 5 as we go. All right, so we got John here. You can see see him on the screen. Nick, give me a thumbs up if you can see my LCP screen. Okay, LCP. So the first thing is what we have here. If I go over and hit the pencil, right, usually it looks like this. All right, and if I hit the pencil, I can go down here and I see that this guy filled out some questions when he filled out the lead. And he says he currently doesn't have an IUL, and his primary goal that he filled out was achieve financial stability. Everything else, it's not super important for me to know, but when I call John Smith here, that's what I'm looking at. So if you are getting your leads automatically imported to LeadChamp, you should have some kind of information there in the notes. And if you don't, hit up support and let's make sure they're A, connected, and B, it's coming into the notes section, because you want all the good stuff that you need to know about that appointment right there up top. So you don't have to like scroll down here and like search through all this stuff. You shouldn't have to do that. All right. So this is going to be partial role play, partial me just kind of telling you kind of how I go about things and what I do. All right. So we're going to call John up, ring, ring, ring. And, you know, simple greetings. I don't spend a lot of time getting to know him and warming things up. So, hey, John, this is Josh, just calling you for our appointment. This is about the IUL. Is this still a good time to talk? Yes. Okay, great. Are you in a good spot where you have a decent internet connection, something to write with? And hopefully that's a yes. Now, what I'll tell you is a lot of us get a little bit snobby when they're not in a good place to write something down. Okay, if you're not in a good place to write something down or whatever, you know, let's reschedule because you need to be sitting still. Now, this is a judgment call. Sometimes, again, you'll come across some blue collar workers that they're on a crane, and you know that if you hang up the phone, this guy's not going to get back on the phone. And I've literally sold insurance to people doing work on heavy machinery because they wanted to buy insurance, and today was the day that they wanted to get it done. But again, yeah, if somebody's driving down the road 100 miles an hour and they got the windows down and Freebird playing in the background, yeah, maybe you reschedule. Okay, so that's on you, but don't be too quick to hang up the phone. So yep, now is a good time to talk. Okay, perfect. And I'm just going to do a couple quick things. Hey, John, looks like you're in Pennsylvania. Is that right? Yes. Hey, I'm down here, North Georgia. So I'm a little bit south of you. And now, John, when you filled out the information on our website, it asked you some questions. What were the reasons that you were looking into this? And you put down that you wanted to achieve financial stability. Does that sound about right? And he's going to say yes or no. A lot of times they're going to say something to the effect of, yeah, I don't know. I chose an answer. Okay, so I'm going to clarify that. All right, John, a lot of times people come to us for all different kinds of reasons. Sometimes people look into this because, you know, they just want permanent life insurance. If they die, they want to ensure that their family gets a check. Or they've heard about living benefits, right? If I get sick or injured, disabled, I want to make sure that I have money to pay for things while I'm living. Or maybe they've heard buzzwords like become your own bank, tax-free retirement, things like that. Or they heard how, you know, this compared to a 401k. So some ad out there, right? Or they just want to be able to access their money in a savings type of account without getting taxed and penalty. Which one of those sounds like what you were thinking? Oh, I just, you know, I like the idea of, you know, building up money that I can use tax-free. Okay, perfect. So again, I just want to be clear on what the objective is. That's all. All right, John, let's jump into it. Now, the next question I'm going to ask is, have you watched any of the videos either on our website or that we sent you? Okay, so for everybody on here, specific to IULs, when you set an appointment, what happens is when they confirm the appointment, and I don't know if I can find this here. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, cool. Now, this is kind of old, so this didn't happen then, but the appointment confirmation went out. He confirmed it and said, okay, great. And said, you're welcome talking to you then. But most of the time, what happens is it's going to send them a website of information about IULs. Now, when you go on your LeadChamp, if you want to make sure you see this video, go open up a contact. Maybe you have a test contact, go to action buttons and hit send IUL info. Okay. And go ahead and watch this video. It's a video that we did in a professional studio. It's 8 minutes and explains the concept of an IUL in 8 minutes. All right. We can pull that video up here in a little bit. It actually, since this guy I marked shown loss, it's not gonna let me text him at the moment. But let's see. Anyway, so if they've watched the video, you'll know it because they'll say, yeah, I watched it. And then you ask them, well, hey, in the video, it talked about the different ways to set up an IUL. It talked about like an 80-20 setup. Hey, I'm really focused on building the cash, or a 50-50 setup. I want both life insurance and cash. Which one of those kind of spoke to you, or you thought you kind of jived with the most? And then they'll tell you. And so if you go to our Discord group and you go to the good news section, I posted a post in there today, and there's been actually several this week where people said, you know, my client watched the video and knew exactly what they wanted when I showed up to the appointment. So if you don't ask them if they watched the video, you might just not, you skip over that, and they have in their mind what they want based on that video, and you just never figure that out. So make sure to ask them. Okay, great. So let's say he didn't watch the video. All right, perfect. So here's how we're going to spend our few minutes today. So if anybody's ever done in the home sales and they've been around for a few years, I see my man Al Vomstein on. What's up, man? He's an OG, and we always talked about setting the table, right? Of course, this is virtual, so we're not setting the table, but we want to tell the client how we're going to spend our time. If you skip over this, you're going to get objections. You're going to get time objections. You're going to get, send me that. I got to go. All kinds of weird stuff is going to happen later on in the call. So tell the people, this is how we're going to spend our time. And once they agree to that, then you have free reign to run the call. Okay. So here's what I would say. Hey, John, here's how we're going to spend our few minutes today. First thing is I'm going to get you all the information, and we're going to go over exactly how this works so you understand. Number two, you probably already gathered that this is a life insurance contract or a life insurance product, and you do have to get approved for it. So I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure there's nothing that's going to keep you from getting approved. I'm going to say that again because that's very important. John, I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure there's nothing that's going to keep you from getting approved. And I say it that way versus, hey, John, I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure you can get approved. As soon as you say that, they're going to get defensive and go, well, what do I have to do for that? And it's just going to seem burdensome and bothersome. But if I say, I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure nothing's going to keep you from getting approved, that sounds like I'm on his team. I'm here to guard you and kind of make sure you can get this, right? I'm here for you. And then we're going to look at some examples of how this is going to play out in your personal situation. And then finally, step 4, you can't just get these, buy these, put money into these. You do have to get approved, like I mentioned. That does take time. So all we can do today is send off a request to one of the big insurance carriers and make sure that you, in fact, can get approved. Does that make sense? All right. So now that I've kind of laid the foundation, they go, yep, that makes sense. Now we can jump into the call. All right. So again, just repeat. Hey, I'm going to make sure you get all the information. Number 2 is I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure there's nothing that can keep you getting approved. Number 3, we're going to look at some examples based on your personal situation so we can see how the numbers go in your situation. And then finally, we're going to send off a request because you can't just get them by and put money into them. You do have to get approved. That does take time. So all we can do is send off a request to one of the big insurance companies to make sure that you get approved. Okay. And he agrees. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do, and I've changed this up quite a bit, and this is going to save you a ton of time, is I'm going to dive right into the health questions. Because if I spend the next 5 minutes talking about how great IULs are, and half the people out there, half the population can't qualify for one, he's going to be very upset and let down, and the call is going to go sideways, and I'm not going to have a chance to pivot if he wants life insurance. Okay. So I'm going to jump right into the health questions and the financial inventory. So on that note, I don't know how everybody takes your inventories and writes things down. I definitely do like to, because I am a little bit old school with all this technology. I like to have a pen and paper and be taking physical notes while I'm on the phone. Some people just type on the screen. That's never been me. Also, with that said, we used to have a lot of paper inventories, right? I'd have just notebooks and papers. And if you've ever had it where you came into your office and you had papers upon papers and stuff everywhere, and there was that one lead that you need to get back to make a sale, and you couldn't find his name, and you're shuffling through your papers, and finally you just threw them all away. That actually happened to me, and that was some of the features we made in LeadChamp Pro. If you've ever had that experience, I never want to do that again, and I'm inherently not super organized. So what I like to do is I have an iPad. So if you have an iPad or a tablet, I have downloaded my financial inventory, okay? I use an app called Nebo, N-E-B-O. There's many great apps out there, but that's the one I use. Got my little stylus pen, and so I can have my inventory right there. I can take notes on it, color code it, all the things, and then when I'm done, I'll show you how I upload it to LeadChamp, and then I can also keep them on my the Nebo app. Let's see here. So I got a whole bunch of them there. You can't really tell, but they're all named, so I can go through. I got Michael, Jonathan, Jimmy, all the ones here. So if I get back on the phone with these guys, it's still, I store some of them on my iPad. So that's what I like to do. And it cuts down on the paper and kind of condenses everything and saves everything. All right. So we're going to jump into it here. So I'm going to go through the inventory. Hey, John, I'm just going to ask you a few questions if that's okay. Yep. All right. First question is, John, what's your age and date of birth? All right. Got to get those things. All right. Now, and then I'm just going to go down the list. I'm going to rattle off there. A lot of this is stuff you ask. Some of it, maybe I ask in a different way and you like what I say. All right. What's your occupation? Oh, I'm a painter. Okay, great. Now, are you self-employed or, you work a W-2? I'm self-employed. Oh, okay. You work all the time then. Yep. All right. What is your monthly or annual income? What's your monthly or annual income? He says, oh, I make 50,000 a year. Okay, great. Are you a smoker or a non-smoker? Oh, I'm a non-smoker. Okay, perfect. What's your height and weight? 5'11", 185. Okay, perfect. All right. Now, have you been prescribed any medications over the last couple of years? All right. And this is an important one because if you ask, hey, what are you taking? Are you taking any medications? That could mean that they've been prescribed things and they've just chosen not to take them. So we got to be clear about our questions. Have you been, because again, with IULs, they are more difficult to qualify for than like final expense and other things. So we really want to be picky, or else we're going to end up submitting policies that we think are going to get approved and then they don't. And that's going to be very frustrating for us and the client. So, hey, have you been prescribed any medications over the last several years, whether you're taking them or not? Oh, yeah, a few things. Okay, well, what are they? Oh, I take some lisinopril. Okay, that's blood pressure. All right, so have they prescribed you 1, 2, or 3 pills for blood pressure? Okay, just one. All right, so the reason I ask that is because if they're taking 3, we know that some carriers like Americo, and we might have trouble with other carriers on the blood pressure thing. All right, any other medications, even if you stop taking them over the last couple of years? Nope, that's all. Okay, great. Have you had any major surgeries in the last 10 years? Yeah, I got in a car accident 5 years ago. Okay, they prescribed me any pain meds? Yeah, but I wasn't on them for long. Okay, I'm gonna jot that down. All right, in the last 10 years, have you had any, or excuse me, ever, have you had heart attack, stroke, cancer, any heart issues of any kind? No. Okay, great. You mentioned blood pressure. How about any high blood sugar, pre-diabetic, diabetic, anything like that? No. Okay. Breathing good, COPD, ever have asthma, anything like that? Nope. Okay. All right. In the last 10 years, have you had any bankruptcies, DUIs, or felonies? Again, any of those are going to catch you up. And I say it like that because it's like some people get offended that you would ask them that. Oh my gosh, I would never have one of those things. But if you just go, hey, in the last 10 years, have you had any DUIs, bankruptcies, felonies? It's just like normal stuff that you have to ask. Nope. Okay, perfect. All right, do you rent or own where you live? I own. Okay, great. How much you got left on the mortgage? Oh, 200K. They go, well, why do you need to know that? Well, like I said, we're just, answering a bunch of questions. And now, as a secondary to that, do you want to make sure that the mortgage is paid off if you should pass away too soon? Yes, no, right? We're just taking notes. All right. Do you have any life insurance that you own privately outside of work? No, just through work. Okay. How much do you have through work? Oh, I got a lot. I got 200,000. Now, I'm just going to let you guys know. I don't know if everybody knows this. Did you know? Give me a thumbs up if you knew this. Did you know that when you have work insurance, the first 50,000 is tax-free? Okay. But after 50,000, anything above that, when it pays out to your family, they would have to pay taxes on anything above 50,000. You guys know that? Yeah, right. Everybody just, oh, I got work insurance. It's good. I'm great. I'm covered. But no, not you probably don't have as much as you think you do. So that's a good thing to know. But all right, so he's at that. All right, cool. Look, let's jump into it. So I've got what I need, and basically what I'm looking for here is there's no knockouts. I'm not seeing anything that's going to be a monkey wrench for you, John, so far. So let's jump into it. All right. So now I'm going to give you kind of what I say to explain IULs. It's a very basic explanation. I just want to make sure that they kind of understand we're on the same page, and I'm not talking about, apples when they wanted oranges. All right. So, John, here's kind of how IULs work, right? It's an insurance contract or an insurance policy. You put money into it. And first and foremost, we're taking advantage of the tax code that says you can put money into certain types of life insurance policies and grow and access that cash tax-free, okay? Tax-free. So when you put the money into it, a part of the money is going to go to provide an insurance benefit. So when you pass away, your family gets a tax-free check. Also, there's a living benefit, and that if you're sick or injured, disabled, you can use the money while you're living. So I had a client of mine, she's here in Atlanta, and last year at the age of 42, she had a massive stroke. But her policy, she was able to use the part of the money in the policy to pay for her mortgage last year. Living benefits. Now, the rest of the money that you put into it, or even the bulk of the money, is going to go to this savings account called cash value. That's going to grow interest and compound. All right. Now, John, do you currently have like a 401k or an IRA? You ever put money into one? Now, I'm telling you guys this. I asked that, and you'll see why I asked that. But again, I want to know what kind of savings he's done. If he has a 401k, this could be a potential annuity conversation for later. And he goes, yeah, I got one. Okay, great. You know how the money grows in your 401k? It's in a market of some sort, right? Stock, mutual fund, something. And we all know how you make money in the market. Market goes up, you make money. Market goes down, you lose money, right? Yep. Okay. So an IUL doesn't quite work that way. It's index universal life. That word index refers to how the money grows. So when the market goes up, it follows the market. All right. So the interest that you earn goes up. However, when the market goes down, it doesn't follow the market down. Right. So you're guaranteed not to get a negative return. All right. Now I say it that way because I'm trying to be as politically correct as I can. I don't want to say you're guaranteed not to lose money. That could be misconstrued several different ways, but you're guaranteed not to get a negative return. For instance, John, between the years of 2019 and 2021, the market did very, very well. Many of your IUL policies earned 8, 10, 12, I've even seen 16% in some of the best case scenarios. However, in 2022, the market did very bad. My IRA was down 20%. In that year, you would have earned 0 to 1%. So you wouldn't have made a great deal of money, but you wouldn't have lost anything either. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Now, as the money grows, you can have access to it. Have you ever tried to take money out of your 401k, John? And if they say something like this, oh yeah, you know what that means. That means they've taken money out before 59 and a half. And I go, yeah, you probably found out all about the taxes and penalties. Yes, I did. Understand. Okay. So that's the cool thing about an IUL is you can grow that cash value. Leave your 401k alone. Leave it there for retirement. You don't have to mess with this. This is not about beating up on your 401k. But with your IUL, you can access it, have access to it tax-free, which is great. And then what a lot of people like to do is when they get to the age where they want to stop working, they can, if they've built it up enough, they can turn on like a private pension style tax-free income, right? And that's kind of what you were want to know about, right, John? All right, so John, does that make sense? Okay, is that kind of what you thought it was? Yeah, it was. That's all, right? So that's a good enough explanation that, we're off to the races and we're going, okay? So let's say John here is, I don't know, we'll say he's 48. All right. So now we've done the questions, we've done the explanation, we're on the same page, and now we're going to get into the examples. Okay. So all right, John. So now I'm going to ask you some questions, and these are really just for example purposes only. I can't hold you to any of these financial questions, but we need to see how things are going to look like in your situation. So, there's two types of ways people fund their IULs. Really, most everybody is going to have some type of money per month or per year that they systematically save on the side. Sometimes people will decide to put lump sums of money from various places into their IUL. That's not always done, but sometimes it is. And so what I'm going to ask you is about your finances and what we can put into the account and see how it's going to grow. All right. Now, knowing that the more you put in, the more you get out, obviously. And there's no this is exactly how much you have to have. Now, there is a rule of thumb that if you want to maximize the cash value and you're growing and that's your focus, that you should shoot to at least put in 10 times your age, right? I'm 40, so ideally I'm putting in at least $400. Now, does that mean if you're putting in less that you can't have an IUL? And no, it does not, and it really just depends why you want one. But you said, the reason you're looking at this for achieve financial stability, tax-free retirement. So thinking about your finances, of course, you do want to push the pace, but also you want to make sure that whatever we're setting aside, if the wheels fall off the car and life happens to us all, that you don't have to not put money into your policy. So what would you say is a healthy amount, but a safe amount that every single month, hey, I could set this aside? What would a minimum amount be per month that that you could set aside? Right? Now, I kind of said that in different people ask it differently. If you just say, hey, how much you can put in a month, they'll give you an answer, but it might be a lazy answer. So I try to preface it as much as possible. And he goes, oh, I can do, $300 a month, let's say. Okay, cool. Now, the second part of that is sometimes people have money other places, or they're coming into other money that they want to put into that. Does that apply to you or maybe not? And he goes, no, it doesn't. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm just telling you guys this, $300 a month isn't necessarily 10 times your age, but it is relatively close. Now, it's one thing if he goes, yeah, I just want some insurance. I like the idea of savings and I got $100 a month. That's a different thing than what we're talking about here, right? So, okay, great, John, let me pull some things up and let's kind of look at how this goes. So I'm going to pause right here real quick to talk about kind of an important topic of carrier selection. Now, there's a bunch of carriers out there. There's, F&G, NLG, Americo, Mutual of Omaha. There's, other ones, Allianz, Pacific Life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For most of the people that I talk to on a day-to-day, we're writing F&G, NLG, Americo, Mutual of Omaha. There's different reasons to write them all. You certainly could take the stance of, I'm just going to write one carrier for everything. That does get a little bit difficult because, again, if you're buying leads, it's a cash flow business and we all have bills to pay. And if you are writing a bunch of policies that take a long time to underwrite or are fully underwritten, cash flow could get stretched out and that's not fun, right? And so being mindful of what's the situation I should write each policy. And again, I don't think there's a right answer, like do it this way 100% of the time, but I'll give you kind of my opinions, my guidelines, right? So if you kind of want to jot these down, all right? So I am looking to write simplified issue policies when it makes sense as much as I can. Because a lot, again, going back to, I know a lot of people are like, when they think IULs, they're thinking of like the perfect scenario of somebody who is only focused on maximizing cash and they have 500 to 1,000 or more dollars per month to do that. And that's just not the bulk of the people that we talk to. The bulk of the people that we talk to, again, they're looking for life insurance, especially anybody who's using LeadChamp leads. They've seen an ad about life insurance that you can use to save. So they're thinking about life insurance. You know, there's some lead vendors out there that, you know, they're running ads, be rich like the Rockefellers, but that's a different thing. And so knowing that if I talk to somebody and they go, yeah, I was really just looking for life insurance and I like the idea that, you know, it doesn't run out and I can save money inside of it too. Okay. And, you know, if I talk to that person, so kind of step one would be Americo Mutual of Omaha, right? So I'm getting specific with carriers and this is how I do it, right? So if somebody says, you know, they have an interest in life insurance, they don't have enough life insurance, they don't have enough to cover the mortgage, but they like the idea of an IUL because of all the things it offers, and they're like 45, 50, 60 and have like $100 or $200 a month, okay? Yeah, and I'm going to look at doing an Americo or a Mutual of Omaha policy because when you do that, it's set up to, it's more of a life insurance sale. It's not max funded. Okay. And when you go and look at the illustration, which we can pull it up here in a minute, when you go look at the illustration, if I'm putting in, let's say $150 a month, that's $1,800 a year. Okay. And if I go over to the accumulated value column, which is essentially how much it is getting saved at the end of the year into that policy, it's going to be a little over 50%. Okay, so that's kind of like a 50-50 setup, as we would call it. And for a lot of people, that's what they want. They're like, I want some insurance, and I like the idea that some of it gets saved and it's permanent. And so we don't want to try to stuff a round peg into a square hole of this max funded situation if they want life insurance and they only have $150 and it's way lower than even half their age. So those folks, I'm going to look to do an Americo or a Mutual of Omaha simplified issue policy. Okay. The next group of folks are, they have, you know, maybe not quite 10 times their age. And especially, you know, they're a busy blue collar worker. You know, it's hard to get a hold of them. They're moving around. They just want to get it done. If you are adept with WinFlex, which is an illustration software, you can go max fund a simplified issue Mutual of Omaha policy. Okay. Now, is it going to be the beacon of the best performing policy out there? No, but they have a low cost of insurance. You can max fund it. So, you know, for this $300 here, we can max fund that policy. So we structure it properly. They don't have to go through a bunch of hoops. They're not going to have to do a phone interview. They're not going to have an APS. They're not going to ask more questions, and we can get them approved today or within a few days. They get their policy, we get our commission, and they're happy. And they're, you know, some people go, well, there's better things for them. You're not helping customers if you don't get a policy issued, right? I can't tell you how many policies I've written trying to do the best, fanciest thing for the client, and it gets hung up because of an APS. It gets hung up because of this, that, or the other thing, and they don't get their policy and they get frustrated and they just ghost. So that would be the second tier, is a max funded simplified issue Mutual of Omaha policy. And then the third and final tier would be somebody who is putting in 10 times their age. They do want, you know, a max funded policy, and I'm going to write that typically with NLG F&G. And per this call, like, pick your poison, whichever one you like the best, go with that. I specifically write a lot of F&G, and so that's usually who I write with. So that's a little bit about carrier selection. Be mindful of that, because again, you can step over quarters to try to make dollars, and then you end up not making dollars. So write simplified issue when you can. All right, cool. So We're coming up on the hour here in a few minutes. So I think Nick will do a second call, which is just all like illustrations, how to present that. But I just kind of want to come back and have some closing comments, and I'll turn it back to you because I know we have some announcements and things that we're getting ready to roll out. I want to show everybody kind of how I wrap up a call that I just did in LeadChamp, and then kind of how I'm going to follow up on that. And I'm going to give you a cool tip on how to kind of maximize your time. All right. So what I just did there with John was really just the first portion of the call. All right. So, and especially if I ran out of time or I wasn't able to show an illustration, I would say, hey, John, listen, what I'm going to do now is I really have all the information I need to put some examples together so you and I can get back together and you can actually see how this works. So first, let me send you some information so you have it till we get back together next. And I'm going to go ahead, while I'm still on the call, I'm going to hit the send IUL button under action buttons, and that's going to text and email him out some IUL information, specifically that video, which is 8 minutes long. And then, hey, John, let me go ahead and pull up my calendar and we're going to reschedule. Now, when you're scheduling in LeadChamp, it's very important. So John, let's say, is Thursday good for you? Yes. When do you get out of work? 5 o'clock. Hey, can we do 6 or 6:30? He picked 6:30. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and book an appointment. Right. So I'm just going to make a new appointment. It's going to pull up and I'm going to put, JL, John Smith, LCP, second call, because it's a second call. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to book this thing. Right. Now, John, can you do me a favor? You're going to get a text confirmation here as soon as we get off the phone. It's going to come in 1 to 2 minutes. And I'll hit this. Can you make sure when you see that text confirmation, can you just text me back so I know it came through? Yes. Okay, cool. Because this confirmation is going to go out and it's going to tell them to reply yes. And if they reply yes, then now they've communicated. They're going to get more text. They're going to get the reminders. If they don't reply, they might not get the reminders. And for anybody that is sending blue iMessages on our platform, you really want people to message you back so you can continue message them, because there's all this regulations about messaging people that never message you back. Okay. So again, all I've done here while we're on the call is I have sent him IUL information. We've agreed on a time. I've asked him to text me back when we schedule, and we hang up. And then I'm going to take my notes, and I haven't rescheduled the appointment yet. Every call that you do, everything will work better in your life. You'll have better retention, be more organized. Your clients will talk to you more if you hit the what happened button every single time, like 2 minutes after you get off the phone right away. So in this scenario, I'm going to do an incomplete appointment. And I'm doing an incomplete appointment because I didn't get to show them a presentation from front to back, numbers, illustrations, everything. Okay. And so I'm going to take my inventory on here on my iPad, and I'm going to hit the 3 buttons, and I'm going to send it, and I'm going to export it, and I'm going to send it to myself. A number of ways you can do this. Now I can text it to myself. I use Discord a lot. I'll Discord it to myself. It's a cool file sharing kind of app you can do. If you have all Apple products like Clay Suite, you can airdrop it to yourself, whatever. But I'm going to get it on my computer, and I'm going to fill this out, right? I put in his phone number, I'm going to put in his date of birth, the potential lead value. Now, he told me $300 a month, so I'm going to put in $3,600 right here, okay? And the reason I'm going to do that is because if he no-shows me on the lead pipeline, if you go to the lead pipeline in Opportunity Pipeline in LeadChamp, it's going to save it there. And I can run a search, I'll show you in a second, of all the people I've talked to that I didn't get to finish doing a presentation on. And I can spend my time following up with the highest valued people, right? These are people that said, here's how much I have to spend. And if any one of them answer, I can help them, and I might make $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, right? And I'm going to write some notes, right? Keep good notes so you can remind yourself later what happened. Because every time I don't keep good notes and I get back on the phone with them, I'm like, crap, I can't remember anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and upload my inventory, right? Choose the file and then hit submit, right? Once I hit submit, all the documents will forever be saved here under the little document section. I save everything here. Inventories, illustrations, all the stuff. So if I have to come back later, it's all in one place. So I do the incomplete appointment, and then I go ahead and rebook the appointment. And the second reason I do it that way is because if he no-shows, the system is going to know this is not a normal no-show. This is somebody I've already talked to. So it's going to be like, hey, John, remember I put those options together for you. Did you want to get back and look at those? All right. So at the top of your LCP screen, there's a blue button that says knowledge base. Go watch that video, how to dial your leads. And it's going to kind of show you, if I kind of go fast here, how to create searches and dial your leads. But one way I could do it is I could come and do a filtered search. And for anybody in the pipeline stage of lead and incomplete appointment. Okay. So these are all the people that I've done a first appointment with, but for whatever reason, couldn't get them on the second appointment. And then I'm going to even refine it further. And the, let's see, the custom field, let's see, is called total lead value. So there we go. Total lead value is not 0. Total lead value is where you punch in the potential lead value that I just showed you guys. All right, so if I run this list, all these are people that I want to try to reach out to. Another thing, if your leads ask the question, how much do you want to put in per month? There's another cool search you can do. So with LeadChamp, we do this. Other lead vendors ask, some do, some don't. But I could say, let's see, what is your primary goal on a conservative month, right? Is $100 to $300. So there's all these questions, right? So I could run a search for anybody who has $300 to $500 a month to spend. And here's a list of 26 people that I could call. These people said they have money. I want to call these people. So that's how you can spend your time, not just like, hey, let's endlessly dial every single lead and see what happens, but be a little bit of a sharpshooter to go find the highest value people in your account as they filter in. Okay. So hope that was helpful. The last thing I want to give a shout out, I see him on here, to Drake Giarmani, right? He's one of the first people that was on our system. And a lot of people have seen him posting in the chat. Was it Monday? He sold like $30,000 of target premium. Like everything that I just talked about, he does and then some. And people have been asking me, what does Drake do? Does he use LeadChamp? Yes, he does everything that we just went through. The difference is he's just taking it to the next level. Instead of 15 appointments, he probably has 20 or 30 per day. He makes $500 a day, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. He's got goals and he's getting it done. So don't necessarily compare yourself, but just know you can get to that point where you're doing that all the time if you're willing to do that kind of activity. So shout out to Drake. And of course, you can see all the sales. He hashtag LeadChamp, AI booked or whatever. So you want to make sure your AI is connected if it hasn't. So hope that was helpful as a first step, first call. We'll do another one where we do the illustration. We go through everything. And I'll give you my last couple points here because I didn't explicitly tell you them. So number one was to make sure I have enough leads, have some quality leads. 10 to 15 appointments a day was number two. Number three was treat every client like they have $1 million. Okay. So that was an example of somebody at $300, but I ask the questions the same way every single time. And sometimes they'll say, oh, I have $2,000 a month. And if you get weird about asking the questions, or you think, oh, this person's a dud, so you blow by the questions, you skip inventory steps, you don't ask about the mortgage, you don't ask about the insurance, you won't find out things. So you just treat everybody like they got $1 million. And what happens is you'll run into some of those cases that I had in that time frame where somebody goes, hey, can I put in $8,000 a month? I thought this guy was dead broke. And I'm like, oh man, he kind of fibbed on the form. He said he only made 40K. And I'm like, oh, this is going nowhere. But I asked the questions the same way on the call. And he goes, yeah, I'm a business owner. I make 30 grand a month. And I could set aside $8,000 a month into this. So that's $100,000 per year he's putting in the policy. It was as simple as that. I didn't do anything extra. I just had enough appointments where once in a while they show up like that. Number 4, which we didn't get into, was use crank wheel. That'll be a whole separate call that we do. And then number 5, which again, we're not going to get into today, but I will tell you what it is. And that is my secret sauce closing question, right? And this is after you've done the presentation. Everybody is like, how do you handle objections? How do you do this? How do you do that? And by and large, you don't, right? There's no like secret, hey, do you need to get this plan because da 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 da. It's simply, hey, John, the next step is, like I said at the beginning, we have to fill out the request of coverage. We have to send it off. We have to do this, this, and this. Are you ready to do that? And that's it, right? So hope this helped, guys. Nick, I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on here. You know, I've had many requests. People ask me, hey, can you tell me exactly what Josh says on the phone, how he runs his appointments, how he stays organized, what buttons he clicks. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing that. For everyone who is watching this with us live, or if you made it all the way to the end of the video, obviously we appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We love having you guys here. But quick updates for all of our LCP members. We will be doing more calls like this in the future where we're going to be recording YouTube content. You guys will get a chance to see it first. Might be in this room, might be on Discord. We'll see in the future where it goes. But if you're one of our members, we're going to get that word out to you whenever we have those calls. But 2 quick things I want to tell you guys about. Number 1, we do have, this is kind of like the pre-announcement, okay? But we do have our own Lead Champ dialer, power dialer, coming soon, very soon. And this is being built by one of the best dialing companies out there, building it for us in-house. I know we've gotten a ton of requests. Hey, can you integrate this dialer or that dialer? And the truth is, a lot of those dialers are charging too much. Maybe they're not that great, not that efficient. They really don't integrate well with Lead Champ. Well, now we're gonna have a fully integrated power dialer, and this will also be a good option. I know many of y'all have been referring us people like crazy. Thank you so much for all of the people who are referring us business every day. One thing I want to mention, okay, and I don't want y'all to stop referring us people, but Lead Champ is really a tool for top agents that are actually already selling insurance. If somebody is signing up to sell insurance today, day 1, they really shouldn't be coming to us and spending $500 a month. Like, when you look at the fact that Lead Champ basically saved Josh between $45,000 and $90,000 last year, you go, does it make sense for him to spend $5,000 or $6,000 a year on it? Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, obviously. In fact, you would be stupid not to do it. If you already sell at a high level and you're not using a platform like this, God forbid, book a demo with us right now. We need to help you. But if you're a brand new agent and you're worried about how much money you're going to spend on leads, you really need to spend that money on leads, go and actually sell, get to the point where you're producing enough to be able to invest in your business before you buy something like this. So please, if you're sending us new agents, like, let them know in advance. Like, if they're not spending enough money on leads already, we're going to be hard pressed to help them, right? It's Lead Champ Pro. You got to have leads to put through the system or it won't work for you. So just keep that in mind. We don't want you to stop referring people. Please do, which is the second thing. That dialer will be a great option for people who are looking for an entry point to have a tool to help them get more done with their insurance business before they necessarily have enough to hire staff or get something really robust like the full Lead Champ Pro CRM. So that will be an option for newer agents. And for all of you who are referring us people, we do have our beta affiliate program already started. If you haven't already got set up with that, please message into me. I'll be happy to get you a link so that you can share Lead Champ with other people. We are paying monthly reoccurring commissions for anyone who refers us to the CRM. I know all of y'all that are out there, top producers, you get asked every single day, hey, what leads do you use? What CRM do you use? What phone number do you use? Do you dial while standing on one leg? Do you drink Gatorade after every call? Like, I know they ask you guys ridiculous questions, but whenever they ask you, what CRM do you use? What system you use for follow-up? How do you keep track? How do you use AI to build your business? Let them know I use Lead Champ Pro, and here is my link if you want to get it, because we will pay you for those referrals. We obviously really appreciate it. And to get a hold of me, you can message me. I'll give my cell phone number right here. So don't be sharing this around, but now you'll have it. So message me your first and last name if you're messaging me from this. 828-243-3343. Okay, 828-243-3343. Don't blow me up too much. Okay, and I apologize if I don't get back to you until like the end of the day if 100 of you guys message me, but that's my number. You can get a hold of me. I also have a Lead Champ number. You get message from me during onboarding. If you didn't already, you've probably got my number in your phone as well. I don't have it memorized though, because I just got to do better. Anyway, affiliate program, dialers coming out. We are also sponsoring the Ignite event in June. If you're going to be there, let us know. We'd love to see you there. We're going to have a lot of exciting stuff going on that, a big drawing where some people are going to win some fabulous prizes from us. So make sure if you come to the Ignite event that you check in with us. Make sure you're promoting Lead Champ like crazy. Make sure, please, if you are using the software, just hit the what happened button. Just please hit it. Some of you guys are just wasting money. You are flushing money down the drain by not just clicking that button and letting let it do the work for you. Let it go out and follow up with the people who missed. Like when you just click the no-show button one time, no-show, boom, and it follows up for you. It is such a powerful thing. But if you don't click the button, it can't do the work for you. So once again, guys, thank you so much. We went a little bit over time, but Josh obviously has a lot to say. He's a master sales trainer. He's really great, obviously, at teaching people on how to sell more IULs. And we will continue this with a part 2 in the future. So thank you all so much, and bye for now.